Greetings to everybody. Today is our last class in this series of embarking on the journey of learning to live from the heart. And in this last session, we will try to understand that our spiritual destiny has to do with the purification of the subtle body by removing the layers around it, by removing veil after veil from this field. The consciousness gets purified. And we understand for the past 5 sessions, the conclusion is this field of consciousness consists of subtle bodies, which are chit, consciousness itself, mind, manas, buddhi, intellect, and ego, which is ahankar. And in this middle field of consciousness, we also have the koshas known as the sheaths. One is the food sheath known as Annamaya kosha, the mind sheath known as Manomaya kosha, wisdom sheath known as Vignanamaya kosha, bliss sheath known as Anandamaya kosha, so on and so forth. So we have all those koshas. And we also have in this subtle body field the 13 chakras, which consists the 5 in the heart region, the 7 in the mind region, and the 1, the point of central region. So all these, the koshas, the chakras, the subtle bodies, constitute this field of the middle, the energy field, the subtle body field. All these need to be refined. So at the level of the subtle body, we have a choice to evolve and go beyond the animal level into the human level to the divine level by expanding our consciousness. So this middle field is what our work is upon. And so the only way for this middle field, the energy field, the subtle body field, which consists of these chakras, koshas, subtle bodies, is by developing a meditative mind. And that is the reason why we meditate. So unless and until we meditate properly, and unless and until we regulate our minds properly, our consciousness will not evolve. So what does that include? As we refine our character with the practice, we let go of all character flaws, because these are what are holding us down to the matter, the field of the matter, the earth. And especially this quality of the judgment. And that judgment includes criticizing others, blaming others, this nature of constant complaints and this nature of stubbornness will pull us down towards the matter where desire is overpowering and desire is backed by hatred. So that is why Babaji Maharaj said, without the practice of point B cleansing, point A intentions, possibility of this consciousness of expansion is not there. You cannot evolve with discipline. If you do not instill these two practices into your lifestyle, it is not possible to change. Masters can go on giving us techniques, but if we don't utilize them, it is of no use. Especially this point A is what brings the transformation because we are making the intentions. And we also learned that when the thought flow is descending from above from the Chit lake, it is going into the earth and it is going via point A into the earth plane to come into fruition as Bhog. So that is our channel. By nature itself, nature has created a prayer line, a vibratory frequency with which we can tap into the higher. And that is why Babuji said, your heartbeat is directly connected to the source. Through this point A is directly connected to the guide's consciousness. Why the guide's consciousness? Why guide's heart? Why guide's soul? Because the master's consciousness has no veils in it. The chakras are refined, the koshas are refined, the subtle bodies are refined to the extent there is no veils. The chakras don't exist anymore. The koshas don't exist anymore. That's such refinement where it is like, we have borders from one city to other. This is Beaver Creek, this is Centerville, this is another town. When all borders are removed that were man made, it is all earth, it's all one land. So the Guru's consciousness, his physical heart, his soul, it is all one vast field from which we nurture ourselves. So as we become purified and our vibratory field becomes simple, we will be able to freely observe and explore and expand across this spectrum of consciousness field to the consciousness to superconscious, from subconscious to conscious to superconscious field, just like how there is no difference in all these fields for the master, we have the possibility of becoming that. If we purify this subtle body field with regular meditation, with regular practice of point B cleaning, with the regular practice of point A meditation, we transform ourselves. And what helps us? The pranahuti, the transmission from the Guru's heart, which is his consciousness, which is his soul, for his consciousness has no veil. There is no difference between his consciousness, his soul, or his heart. It is all one vast field. Because he is always in this state of Sahaja Samadhi, as they call it, where he has the view of the past, present, and the future. That is the 360-degree awareness that the masters are talking about. So they are trying to tell us this is possible for every human being who puts efforts on themselves for this transformation. As we become subtler and subtler with the practice, what changes? Our frequencies change, where this transformation of matter to energy to absolute happens. And we also start to radiate that state of absolute, which is nothing but love. That is why we feel loved when Master looks at us, talks to us, transmits to us. We crave to go to those kind of personalities because they're radiating what they have, and because there is no veils, they're radiating their essence, which is love. So we can conclude that when you meditate, first step is you must feel settled. If you meditate correctly, the first thing you will feel is you are settled and you are centered, and that is the beginning of the journey. Only when that mind is settled and centered, there is a possibility for this mind to expand and perceive and move into higher dimensions. Without that, it's not possible. So that is why all the masters have talked about the meditative mind, which is known as Dhyanaja Chitta, which will help us evolve. A meditative mind is what will help us evolve. And that is why revered Daji's call for humanity is let's meditate. From the very beginning, he said, let's meditate. So, that is the gist of trying to understand this basic practices of heartfulness. They are the foundation. Without that foundation, we can move forward. Now, I'm going to briefly share the PowerPoint, which gives you the visuals of this subtle body field of what koshas are, what chakras are, what the consciousness field is, and how the inner journey goes on, and how elements are distributed in each chakra and each kosha. So, when we take up the next series, we will straight go to the mind region and try to understand that. So, let me share my screen. So, this is what I just talked about: the chakras, the subtle bodies, and the koshas that exist in our consciousness. All these three, when they are refined, it becomes the soul's potency. We come into the earth with the particular potency of this soul, and this soul, our absolute causal body, is what supports the consciousness, and our causal body is being supported by the guru's consciousness, the guru's soul, his art. Because if we just came into this earth with certain potency, we have certain capacity, we come with $100, we have to deal with this consciousness field with whatever $100 we have, and what we express in the earth is only valued with $100. We cannot improve. So what the guru does, he increases the potency of your soul so you can help your own consciousness evolve. And what is that transmission is clearing the path is in the chakras, in the subtle bodies, and the koshas. All three. The evolution is in all three of them. So these are the chakras in the heart region, the five chakras. And then from 6 to 11, 12, the seven chakras of the mind region, as they're called. 11 and 12 are actually known as godly regions, and 13 is the central region. And we understood this concept. Our pure soul is pure in a sense. The absolute self comes with the potency. And we have the physical body, but it is this consciousness field where all these exist and where the spiritual growth need to happen. So Daji explained this: when the mind becomes a meditative mind, it is able to move into a fluid state of feeling which can touch the absolute, because the causal body cannot receive the thought. Thought is just the dirt of the mind. So that is why mind has to become a meditative mind. In this process, when the mind becomes meditative mind, when the chakras are refined, when the koshas are getting refined, in this consciousness field, your intellect transforms into wisdom and your ego gets refined into humbleness. And thereby, this consciousness that is constricted starts to expand with no barriers. And then we are able to experience the real love emanating from our Karan Sharir, our Atman, our soul, as it is called. So we have the region of the heart. In this region of the heart, we are struggling as we cross. We are struggling with dualities. We are struggling with balance, imbalance, peace and disturbance, love and anger, fear and courage, and clarity and illusion. Delusion, as it is called. So, as we meditate with the help of the meditative mind, with the help of point A and point B practices, as we refine them, we are able to cross this the region of dualities, moving forward into the mind region and thereon the cosmos. In the cosmos, there is only expansion, there is no dualities. So, how do we understand the flow of the chakras, flow of the prana in the chakras? The transmission that is coming, it has to flow somewhere. How does it look like? So, when the prana does not flow freely, our machine, body is a machine, and subtle body, the energy field is known as subtle body. So, it is also a machine. It runs by certain things, and when it is clogged, when the chakras are clogged, when we are not balanced, when there's no peace, when there's only anger and hatred, and we are like animalistic behavior, being brutal, evil, no clarity. So this field is not functioning, so we are in the lower field, the lower chakras field, which is the animal tendencies. So to make the energy flow is what meditation helps us with. So when you are receiving transmission, if your physical body is fit, all the blood is flowing beautifully, perfectly, so you are physically fit. Same way, when prana is flowing freely, you are able to experience the conditions, the environment of your inner energy field, which radiates balance, peace, love, courage, clarity. And as you meditate, you're able to feel the flow upward, ascending upwards to the divine regions. Here, when you're clogged, that is when we ask, is there God? Is there something higher than us, lower than us? All these questions arise. But when you are able to feel the free flow with the help of the Guru's transmission, he is giving his frequency, is giving us a momentum for these chakras to flow forward, be in motion. We are able to come closer to that ocean of divinity as we move into cosmos. And then nobody asks this question, is there divinity? Is there something higher, lower? Now you feel it. And these are the chakras that prana flows in the mind region and into the central region. In the ancient times, the rishis, these also exist in our system, points on the spine. In the ancient times, rishis of the say ages used to practice bringing the energy from this lowest earth point to the highest point for their evolution. But this ascension was very difficult because nature's flow is coming down with force, and to swim against such a powerful water fall or energy fall was difficult, so they were losing to that flow. And that is where the inventions of great Lalaji Maharaj, Babuji Maharaj, Shariji, Daji comes into picture, where we are journeying from the other side, the back. We are going behind the water flow to go up to the cosmos. So this is the heart region, which consists of every chakra, 5 chakras. All the chakras consists of all the elements. The first element, first point, earth, is dominated with earth element, but other elements also exist in an order. 12 o'clock ether, 3 o'clock fire, 6 o'clock water, 9 o'clock air in the earth point. And in the second point, when you go, the third point is at the top, fourth point is at 3 o'clock position, air is at 6 o'clock, and earth is at 9 o'clock. So on and so forth, or the elements exist. So you can have a visual idea. And along with this, we have the vestibules, the meridians, as they call in the physical body, in the exterior, like, or when air is flowing in the pumps outside. So those, if they are clogged also, energy cannot flow in because sometimes it gets so heavy. Why do you think they recommend purity of the body and mind needs to be happening before we meditate? Is because if the body is impure, energy won't enter into your body. So these are the locations, and these are handled when we take care of the relaxation technique. That is why either you do a thorough relaxation, or you take deep breaths, let go through the mouth, come into the heart, and center yourself quickly and go into meditation. Either is fine. So in the earth point, I already talked about these points, the locations and all that. It is just a clear idea for you to notice. And this PowerPoint we will share with everybody. So you can, at your own pace, go through it and understand it. Where the positive qualities are contentment, balance, patience, and negative qualities are the opposites. The one thing that you need to notice is there is similarities in points in respect of where the elements are. Say point 1 and 6 and 11, they all look the same way, but the intensity of the element is reduced. But in some level, these are all connected with each other in the internal field. And so sometimes when we are only journeying at point 1, we think like, oh, I'm feeling vibrations at 11, I'm feeling vibrations at 6, and we assume that we are there. But the only time we can assume that we have crossed a particular chakra is, have we developed these qualities? Are you centered? Are you balanced? Are you able to tolerate things? These are the qualities, because those are the qualities of the earth. When you think about elements, think about their qualities. Earth bears everything. And this element in each chakra connects together, creating the Annamaya kosha. It is on the lower left side of your chest. And the next one is the ether on the opposite side. And here you will feel peace and calmness, or the other way, restlessness and hatred. And ether in each chakra connects together, creating Anandamaya kosha. And this structure of the second point, where fire is on at 12 o'clock, water is at 3 o'clock, air is at 6 o'clock, and earth is at 9 o'clock. The same combo exists in point 7 and 12. So when you're actually journeying through point 2, it is possible you can feel vibrations at 7 or 12, or you can even feel that you are up there. But again, how do you know your own progress? Are you feeling peace? Third element is the fire element, and this is the one that is very difficult to cross. Here we can think about Lord Jesus. Why? Because he, in the hierarchy of the masters, he was one who had this immense compassion, immense love, no judgment. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Such kind of, that is the highest quality that we have to acquire if we really master this fire point. But we remain blaming, criticizing, complaining, judging. It, as long as judgment exists in us, my religion is better, your religion is better, my religion is greater than yours, none of the heads of the religions have crossed this fire point. We can claim anything. And when we master this, the possibility of witnesshood is there at fourth point. And this is a very important point also, because it is the Pranamaya kosha, energy sheath. It supports everything. And when you are depleted, you can't even function. And how do you know when you cross this point? Compassion, love, poise, no judgment. And it has similar qualities with point 8. And it is the fire point. Next one is the water point. Here, surrender begins. When you master this water point, there is immense courage. Not because, if the courage is because of your own ego, then we become like evil beings. Here, courage is because you have so much humbleness, you recognize it is your guide's consciousness that brought you this far, and there you begin to surrender. You recognize your mother. It's a very significant point. So, first question is, are we humble? And this is what this point signifies. If you have that immense humility, then at least we have tasted a little journey of this point. And this is also connected with mind, Manomaya kosha. That is why a lot of times, if your mind is disturbed, drink water. If you are emotional, drink water. Next point is the fifth point. Air element is dominant here. Its structure looks like point 10, connected with point 10. It is known as wisdom sheath. And here, if we do not directly do anything with this point, but the guide's transmission and his work makes us cross through this. Because here, if people focus too much, if they directly touch this, you can, because it is connected with the mind sheath also in a strong way, and it's the air, it can make you be caught up in illusion. There won't be clarity. You will get caught up in illusion. So you just observe this, know that you are journeying through. When you are having clear thinking, clarity in thinking, you know, okay, I am able to go through this point. And it is known as Vignanamaya kosha. This air element in each chakra connects together and makes it a Vignanamaya kosha, energy sheath. So these are all the qualities that we need to master. And the koshas I just talked about, the sheaths. Because in the consciousness field, we talked about the chakras, the koshas, and the subtle bodies. When the chakras and the koshas are refined, the subtle bodies are all automatically refined, and thereby our consciousness expands. In heartfulness, we don't directly deal with this koshas, we don't focus, but you can experiment to see because earth element in every chakra is connected. We know that. That makes the Annamaya kosha. In the earth is the center on the left side, and earth element is at 9 o'clock position on the at point 2, and it is at 6 o'clock position at point 3, 3 o'clock position at point 4, 12 o'clock position at point 5. Connected together, it is like a path, and that becomes Annamaya kosha. And these have to be consciously refined with our habits, physical habits that we have. And these are the koshas that we talk about: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vignanamaya, Anandamaya, and how all the elements are connected. And we also have all the regions that we cross. First, the heart region, the cosmic region, paracosmic, Prapanna, where humility starts at ninth point, Prapanna Prabhu, Prabhu, and the central region. So the koshas are described in a different angle, and all the koshas are connected in this pattern 9, 6, 3, 12. And the physical sheath, the qualities of this physical Annamaya kosha or physical sheath depends upon what we are eating. And Daji says that what mother eats during pregnancy affects the baby. And because it affects the physical sheath of the mother as well as the baby. And also he says that when we overeat and a lot of times when people go to a party or when they feel drained out, completely drained out. Why? Because other people's eating habits can drain us. That is why sages, they most of the time, when some people are there, they isolate themselves. And also fasting will help this kosha. Not a lot of fasting, but once a week, once a month, whatever we can do, depending on our health. But too much fasting is also not good. So right eating and the way we eat and the fasting, all this will help the Annamaya kosha. A lot of times when we overeat, we feel very tired, lethargic. Why? One thing affects the other. All sheets affect everything. Like Everything that happens in first point has an automatic, like domino effect on all the points. When something happens in the earth, in your life situation, if your first point is not balanced, you lose balance. Losing balance makes you lose peace. Losing peace makes you get angry. Making you angry makes you scared. Making you scared makes you lose your wisdom and you fall apart. So mastering that first point helps. Same way, maintaining this Annamaya kosha with proper care, taking care of physical body with exercise, right food, the way we eat, once in a while fasting is good, because when we overeat, we don't exercise, the kosha overworks. It has to work for us. And then what happens? It has to draw energy from Pranamaya kosha, energy sheath. And when energy is depleted, it borrows from mind sheath gets affected. When the moment energy sheath Pranamaya kosha gets affected, everything gets affected. Your mind is lethargic. When you lose your correct thinking, critical thinking abilities, clarity, wisdom is lost, it affects everything. So this maintaining this physical body is absolute importance. So the kinds of foods that the great master said was the foods that make us lazy and lethargic, the foods that make us active. Sometimes too much activity is not good. And foods that make us light. So they're called sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So these are frequencies. These frequencies exist in our subtle body also. And these frequencies exist in everything you intake, whether it is thought or food. Anything that you intake into your system has these three frequencies. Depending, like you're seeing something very violent, it affects you. You are listening to soft music, it affects you positively. So anything you intake, that intake should have a sattvic frequency. And the effect of this, how this Annamaya kosha, that's how our karma forms, and that's the effect of our karma that we have to undergo. That is, you have to go through sickness, you have to go through sufferings. So it's very, very important to take care of this. And this is the Annamaya kosha I talked about, point one, connected with earth point in earth element in ether at 9 o'clock, earth element in fire at 6 o'clock, 9, 6, 3, 12. And this is the Annamaya kosha. And Pranamaya kosha is the energy field, field of love. So when we receive transmission from the Guru, it calms us down. And here, when Master says anger transforms into divine love, it happens when we let go of judgment. And also, the nature of fire is ascension. So if you are thoroughly practicing point A, point B, and transforming yourself, this fire of love will push you forward. And here I have to mention when the Revered Daji said, he said it took him 20 years of sadhana before he jumped from point third to fourth. In the ignorant days, I thought, why did he take so long? Because that complete transformation where there is nothing in them. There's no layers in their consciousness anymore. That mastery, that level of mastery, and that level of compassion to sacrifice everything they have for humanity. We are at a stage when, even when Abhyasis ask us for a sitting, we look at our own convenience. Sometimes we don't even when we know that they are dying or something, we don't want to get up and change and go there. We are still caught up on ourselves. Here, this kind of love is for service. They are instruments of the divine. This is the point that we need to master if we truly want to become true instruments of nature. And this energy flow in the human system, the flow is reflected by karmendriyas and the five energy flows of the pranas, which is called vayus. So our actions of hands and legs, our reproduction, elimination, all this is managed by this pranamaya kosha. the mind sheath. The mind sheath gets depleted the moment prana is depleted, and this mind sheath is subtler than the previous sheath. It makes use of the mind, manas, and the cognitive sense organs, the sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. So that we have, if we observe our thoughts and ideas, reason, logic, contemplation, feelings, dreams, hopes, feelings of how you're feeling about others, good and bad, all this is dominated by the Manomaya kosha. In human being, this Manomaya kosha is what is developed, and this is what makes us distinct from the animal kingdom. And it is Manomaya kosha is a bridge between human life and divine life. Why? This is the one that we are trying to make it the dhyanaja chitta, a meditative mind with right meditation, coming to centeredness. Without that centeredness, the mind cannot give you the right direction. Thoughts, ideas, reason, logic, everything, if it is in the wrong directions, if it gives you wrong ideas, your result is wrong. When this mind is meditative mind, it gives you the right direction, then the possibility of divinization happens. And this Manomaya kosha, why is it that in heartfulness we live in the life? It is called Grihasthashram, where you are married, you have children, you work, you serve in your community, you do enjoy your weddings or parties, whatever. Because if you don't do anything, if you don't use a particular muscle, it won't become useful for you. It won't function properly. Even your computer, if you don't use, it goes into sleep mode. Even if our heart, we don't use it, it goes into sleep mode. It stops giving us messages. So also Manomaya kosha develops when we are challenged by day-to-day events. This challenges every day. Our consciousness evolves when the Manomaya kosha is challenged. So the solution is not in running away from problems. They make us grow. And when this kosha is developed, our thinking becomes clearer. And Manomaya kosha is where we learn cheerful acceptance. This is where, because it is connected with water point, fourth point. So struggles and sufferings benefit this kosha as they challenge us to find solutions and experience things for ourselves, accept, suffer, and move on. And the moment we learn this cheerful acceptance, Daji calls it, it is a leap into higher levels of consciousness, because it's very difficult to cross this. So the Manomaya kosha can develop logic to defend our actions with the right or wrong. You don't justify your anger anymore. You don't justify any of your weaknesses. And you realize that is why Daji's message for us, his prescription for us, think that you are wrong and others are right. Thinks others are great and you are humble. This quality of humbleness will help us refine this Manomaya kosha. And how do you refine this mental sheath? Daji says, get a sitting, because it allows the prana, the thought flow towards the Atma chakra. And soul point is like a furnace. When the thoughts flow into that, your karma gets burnt out. And with practice, the thoughts get regulated. Point A, meditation. Point B, cleaning. And this is the Manomaya kosha, how it looks, where water element in every chakra is connected with each other. If you look at point 4, water element at 9 o'clock position. At the air point, it is connected. Again, 6 o'clock earth, 3 o'clock water, 12 o'clock fire. It creates a path. Last one is the Vignanamaya kosha, which is known as the wisdom sheath, air connected with the air element. And the intellect and the five sense organs of perception form this intellectual sheath known as Vignanamaya kosha. The five senses are common to both mental sheath and intellectual sheath, because Our perception involves both mind and intellect. So, the Vignanamaya kosha, the sheath of knowledge, makes use of our intelligence and our discriminative abilities, clear thinking, clarity, and it uses the five cognitive senses. And as this sheath is refined, intellect expands to encompass intuition. Now you intuitively know, you don't need to think anymore. And that is what wisdom is. When we are able to feel from the heart, that is intuition. And that is the work of Vignanamaya kosha. So in this Vignanamaya kosha, because this sheath is close to the soul, ego is also close there. When ego follows through the right action, your willpower becomes stronger, and then it will be able to follow the inner wisdom, allowing the real discrimination to happen, real detachment to happen. Illusion will bid farewell here, and you truly surrender. Here, where the hands that are begging move into prayer, close together with gratitude. When Vignanamaya kosha happens, gratitude is in full bloom because now you realize who is taking you forward. So until then, we are either beggars or we are demanding, and we are only begging for the matter. But here, when this kosha is in full bloom, we come to the utmost humbleness, and hands are folded in true prayer, recognizing the mother. So that is why this sheath is known as the driver of the body, the human body. Without the driver, nothing moves forward. So refining this Vignanamaya kosha makes this 360-degree expansion that the masters have, where your consciousness is expanded into the depth of subconscious and into the sky of superconscious, as Daji calls it. And this sheath has to become refined. And this is possible only when we meditate with the help of the pranahuti, the transmission. And this is the path of the air. Every element of air in every chakra is connected, creating this Vignanamaya kosha. And the last is the bliss sheath. It is the innermost sheath around the soul. And here we experience joy and bliss. And it is also connected to the soul point. Why? Because nature has put it in such a way that if you don't experience some peace, you don't have the drive to move forward. So Anandamaya kosha is the sheath around the soul, the last veil. It is beyond knowledge and experience. The bliss is beyond knowledge and experience. Mind cannot experience this bliss. It is a state of being, and it is the subtlest. And when we get in touch with this, we express this joy and gratitude and compassion naturally. And even though this is the fifth kosha, it is not the end of the journey. At this place where you are experiencing this bliss is known as Satchitanand. It is still a beginning of the cosmic region. It is not the end of it. So this is how the Anandamaya kosha, air element, is connected. So this is the brief gist of this inner journey that we are all embarking on. So what when we say live from the heart, embarking from the heart, living from the heart is you are living from that soul, that state of joy. All this is just for our understanding. If we stick to the basic practice of the master, what he gives us, it automatically leads us step by step to that. So our job is our own transformation with the practice of meditation, point B cleaning, point A intentions, introspection, diary writing, repentance, bedtime connection, and meditating as much as possible with Pranahuti. So let us all now meditate. This class ends now, and we will announce the next one about the mind region later when we look at our schedules. And thank you all for attending. And all of us are in this journey together. So the movements of clockwise, anti-clockwise, they're all there. At point one it's clock, at point two it's anti-clockwise. We will send the PowerPoints, you can look. All that is a hint for us to observe how the vibration is flowing. And when the actual journey happens, when you do practice without even thinking, and as you become sensitive, you notice that you're feeling them inside yourself. Nobody needs to tell. You don't need to know which way the flow is happening. When you're feeling it, you know exactly how it's happening. So let us now all meditate. We'll have a short sitting. Close your eyes softly. Take deep breath and let go through your mouth. Center yourself where the heart beats. Make the intention. The source of light is present within you. The light from the source is illuminating your entire being. Your mind is drawn to this light. Your mind is resting in the light. Rest in the light with utmost reverence and humility. Let's meditate. That's all. Feel the calmness spread throughout your being. From this place of calmness, make the intention. All my senses are in a state of balance. They have arrived at their original character. All my feelings are in silence. Every cell in my being is absorbing the silence. You may open your eyes when you are ready. Thank you all for joining the session. We'll see you all later.